Hi guys, it's Michelle again. I'm just making another video today. It's July 10th, 2020, and I know I posted a video yesterday about my dreams of the rapture, the end of times. You know, my dreams have a lot about Leviathan in them, and I'm just hoping that more people can put in some input on what they think. But now I'm going to tell another part of my story. I'm telling my story backwards. I didn't mean for that to happen this way, but it's being told backwards. The Leviathan dreams, over the past 3 years since I got out of psychosis, they've been around. But I'm going to talk about, what I saw and witnessed during psychosis. So back in November of 2017, a voice came to me and said, if you fall asleep, you're going to die. So I didn't sleep. And when you're going through psychosis, you can't sleep anyways. Your mind won't let you. And all these voices were telling me these horrible things, and not telling me to do horrible things, but just telling me horrible things and showing me horrible things. And one voice stood out from the rest. It was a calm but assertive male voice, and it just said, believe in me, I am real, trust in me, and you'll get through this. And so that's what I did. I trusted that voice to help me get through because I didn't know what was wrong with me at the time. And I'm taken to a psychiatric hospital. Long story short, I'm checked in. And they open up the double doors that are locked to let me in, and it's a long hallway. And at the other end of the hallway is more double doors. To the left and right, there's a couple of other doors that go to like the cafeteria or other places. Well, they take me to the left to a small interview room. And that's where they fully evaluate you to see if you need to be admitted. And the man's talking to me in this room, and I don't remember what he said. It was just very brief. But I remember my palms, the very center of my palms, started burning. And I'm left-handed, and my left hand, mainly my left hand, was burning right there. And the voice said, just listen to this, and you'll go down the right path. So that's what I did. I listened. And the man in the room with me interviewing me, after a few minutes, he's like, I'm going to go make a phone call to your husband. I'll be back. Okay. Well, he walks out of the room, and then I feel my hand go this way. It feels like someone is holding my hand and kind of pulling it off to the side. And I know it's Jesus. And then all of a sudden in my mind, I can hear someone crying, just weeping. And he's saying, I died for your sins, and nobody believes in me. They're just turning their backs on me. And then all of a sudden, another voice came to me, and I knew it was God. It was his voice, but his voice is like a presence. And out of nowhere, I just became just full of rage. And I could hear God, screaming, look what they have done to my creation. Nobody believes in me. Nobody is obeying me and praising me. He was just so angry, and my palms were on fire. And then I felt this strong urge, just this urge I had to get down on my knees and bow down on the floor. And I was looking at my hands and like, is this real? And I touched the floor, and then it felt like something was sucked out of me. And I felt like I was on a mission, and I stormed out of that room, and I looked to my left, and it's the other end of the hallway that I don't know what it goes to. And I just stormed down there, and I start banging on those doors, and I realize they're locked, and I'm banging on them and banging, and I'm screaming, let my people go, let my people go. And I turn around and I look at the staff members. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and they're just staring at me like I'm crazy. which, I was being crazy. And they're just staring at me. And it was like they had these auras behind them, dark auras. And I knew they weren't possessed by demons, but these demons were present in the room. And I knew they were there, and I started screaming because I could feel them in my mind talking and telling me I'm nothing, and I'm going to die. And I just started screaming, "You don't know who you're messing with. You don't know who you're messing with." And I'm screaming, "Let my people go." And I'm seeing these like figures of demonic presence, and I scream almost like I'm singing, "You have no effing idea who you're messing with, who I am." And I'm like bent over, and I'm screaming it. And it felt like wings were growing out of my back. And I look up at the ceiling, and I know I'm hallucinating, but the ceiling was being ripped off. And then it was the first time I think I remember seeing Leviathan. It was a dragon-like serpent creature, was looking down through the ceiling after he ripped the ceiling off. And he's just roaring. And it's like he's there to rescue me. And then I faint. I fall just smack to the floor. And I hear a woman say, "Get her up." And then two men pick me up right here by my arms and just drag me across the floor. They just drag me. And then I said this really weird thing. I'm not really conscious. And I say, "My son is dying." And then they drag me into this small concrete room with no windows. And it's just a bare mattress on the floor. And they push me down on this mattress, and they're holding me down. And I know, they're about to give me an injection to help me sleep. But they're holding me down. And I know that it's like, this is it. This is the end. And then I have a strong vision. And a crown. Someone's behind me, placing a huge crown on top of my head, and it's so heavy with the jewels and rubies that it just was so much. And they placed this crown on my head, and blood is running into my eyes. And they say, "With this crown, can you handle the weight of the world?" And then I just said, "I am not worthy of this." And I closed my eyes, and everything went dark, and it wasn't like going to sleep. I felt my soul detaching. And then I saw a bright white light, and then I was woken up again. They woke me up, and they said, "We're going to take you to a hospital now to get checked out." So they laid me on a stretcher, and, I fell back asleep. Well, sorry, it's hot out here and I'm sweating a lot. This is what it's like in Texas in the summer. But anyways, they take me to a nearby hospital, and I'm in the emergency room, and I wake up and I look around, and an employee from the psychiatric hospital is there at the foot of my bed to make sure I didn't run off. That's what I assumed. And I'm just looking around, and I felt like I was this old spirit, but in a new body. And I was looking around, and I wasn't judging anybody, but I was like evaluating the world. Like, all right, this is the world, and this is what it's like now. Okay. Well, across from me, I don't know how significant this is, but a part of it to me is, across from me in an exam room, because this ER is overloaded with people, just overloaded, and I'm in the hallway on a bed. Down the hall to my left, there's about 6 elderly people in their 60s, 70s, lying in hospital beds, and I don't know what's wrong with them. And I remember one woman, a nurse passed by, and she just reached out for her, like, "Please help me, please," and the nurse just walked right past her. And across from me in an exam room is a young kid, 16 to 19, somewhere around there. And you could tell he had the crap beat out of him, and he was refusing treatment. And doctors were just telling me, it's like, sir, you could have eternal bleeding. You could die tonight. We need to check you out. And he refused. And it made me just wonder, I'm like, this young kid is refusing help. And then there's these sick elderly people waiting to be seen. And just something was weird about that. It stuck out to me. And then I have to go to the bathroom. And I go to the bathroom and nobody asked me for urine. And the thing is, they sent me to the hospital because they thought I was high on drugs, on meth or something. The only problems that I've had was, drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana. I've never done the heavier stuff, and I praise God for that. But I know people that battle those addictions, and I pray for them. Sorry again for the pause, but sorry, where was I? That was significant. And then they didn't ask me for urine when they thought I was high on drugs, and I wasn't. And I looked at my arms, and I didn't have a bandage or a prick from a needle, no blood drawn. And then I sat on that bed in the hospital for about an hour or two, and then a nurse comes up, and she goes, okay, everything looks normal, you're free to go back to the psychiatric hospital. She didn't say it like that, but she said, you're free to go. And I just thought that was really weird. And then they transported me there by ambulance, so they had to transport me back by ambulance. And the paramedics that showed up, it's a man and a woman, they had this angelic presence about them. I couldn't really pinpoint it, but it was angelic. And I trusted it. And I felt like I was being tested. For what, I don't know, but I felt like I was being tested. And they take me out to the ambulance. And I don't remember if I said this before or after I got on the ambulance, but I asked the man, the paramedic, why are all those elderly people in the hallway sick? And he just very casually was like, upper respiratory infections, a cold. It's that time of year, they're just getting real sick. And now, a little side note, what made that significant to me was now we're going through COVID-19, the coronavirus, and it affects the old mostly, and it makes me wonder, was God showing me something about the coronavirus back then? And so I'm on the ambulance, and the lady's driving, and the man's in the back with me, and I don't want to say anything. I just want to sit there. And he goes, how are you feeling right now? And I just said, I don't want to talk. And then he goes, well, I have to have something for my report. And I just look at him with a very serious face, and I said, God is real, and a reset needs to happen. And then I looked away, and I didn't say anything else. And I just thought that was really strange of me to say that when I wasn't a Christian yet. And they send me back to the psychiatric hospital, and I get on the meds, and I start, coming back to reality, I guess you could say. And nothing really weird happened after that. No visions, no dreams, or nothing while I was in the hospital for a week. Only one thing extra happened, and it was either the first or second night that I was staying there, and I was in a dead sleep, and my eyes just shut open, and I sat up, and I felt like I wasn't me. Like something was controlling my body, like making me move on its own. And I started walking down the hallway of this wing that I'm in. And in psychiatric hospitals, I don't know how all of them are, but this one I was in, there's always a staff member sitting in a chair at the end of the hallway to make sure nobody leaves their rooms at night. Nobody was there. And straight at the end of the hallway was the nurse's station, and they had their door open. And I walked in, and I walked straight up to a young guy, redhead. He probably, I don't know, I want to say he was 19 or 20. young, early 20s, and something in my heart told me he was Jewish. He didn't have anything on him that showed his faith, his religion. Something told me he was Jewish. And I grabbed his hand and I kneeled down to him like he would a king, like he was royalty. Don't know why I did it. And then I got yanked up. I remember it was a big man yanked me up. And they grabbed my arms like this. Two men. And they just ripped my arms up. They had me bent over like this, and they were dragging. My feet were dragging. I remember that my feet dragged because I could feel the concrete. And they dragged me into a room, a big concrete room with a small window up high where I could see the moon shining in. And they put me in the corner, and they kind of like shoved me in the corner of the room. And they let me go, and thank goodness they did, because I went to a full rage for a second. Like, I'm not a violent person. I don't like violence, but I won't back down either. And they go to shut the door, and as soon as they shut the door, I mean, I barely missed them. I just swung a punch as hard as I could, and I punched the frame of the window in the door, and my hand instantly started like swelling up. And then I kind of came to, and I started rubbing my hand, and I just went and I sat down in the corner of the room, and I started rocking myself back and forth. And then I started singing an Elvis song, Can't Help But Fall in Love with You, or whatever it is. And that song reminded me of God. Like, I can't help but fall in love with you. And then all of a sudden I came to, and I was like, what's going on? Like, why am I in here? And they take me back to my room, and then about 3 nurses and a doctor come in, and they're like, what drove you to walk into the nurses station and do that? And I said, I don't know. I have not a clue. I told them, I was like, I just woke up, and I don't know. It was like I had no control over my body. It's like something led me to do it. And I don't know. But for some reason, something told me that kid was Jewish. And I had to kneel down to him for some reason. So I don't know what that was about. But, that's just a lot of the main points of what I went through during psychosis. And something extra I want to add is that people say don't put your business out there. I mean, don't put your business out there to an extent. But I feel like this needs to be shared. And I just want people to know that I am bipolar. I have PTSD. And I went through psychosis. And this all was in the past 3 years, of being diagnosed with all this and going through everything and finding God. And I'm, still searching for Him. And I just feel like we're getting so much closer. Maybe not saying it's the end of days. I mean, people have been saying that for hundreds of years. But I just feel like it's so close, like we're just right there. Just right there. You just have to believe it. You just have to believe. And, I went through all this. And if you've gone through anything like that, or, you battle those psychiatric demons, as I like to call them, psychiatric demons, or the faceless enemy, as I call PTSD, you can get through it. You just have to have, the love of Christ in your heart, and He'll get you through it, because, I'm on medication for it. I see a doctor, I do counseling, and God was the one that really, put everything in place. Like, He is first, and He is the first to my cure of all these issues I have, and He's always the answer. You just have to find that answer. So I really hope that this helps somebody, and I just really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen, so thank you.